Welcome back to the Vibrational Stage Podcast. Today we're going deeper beneath the surface because many people believe their suffering comes from fear itself, when often the deeper exhaustion comes from constantly reacting to fear, from constantly monitoring, constantly scanning, constantly preparing, constantly attempting to emotionally brace for what might happen next. And over time, that way of living begins to feel normal. Not peaceful, not grounded, not alive, just familiar. Many people are not actually living life. They are managing anticipated pain. And what I want to explore today is this. What if the mind is not broken? What if it's simply been trained into survival? Why the mind clings to fear? One of the most important things we can understand is that fearful thinking often feels safer to the nervous system than uncertainty itself. Think about that carefully. The mind would often rather imagine painful futures than sit inside the unknown. Why? Because the mind believes prediction equals protection. And if it can anticipate the pain, maybe it can avoid the pain. If it can mentally rehearse failure, maybe failure will hurt less. If it can prepare for rejection, maybe rejection will not surprise us. And so the mind becomes addicted to preparation, not because it enjoys suffering, but because it believes suffering in advance creates safety. But eventually something happens. The preparation never ends. The monitoring never stops. The body begins carrying tension that was never meant to be carried continuously. The exhaustion of internal monitoring. Many people are exhausted not because of what is happening externally, but because of what is happening internally. They are constantly scanning. Am I okay? What if this goes wrong? What if they leave? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I can't handle what's coming next? This internal monitoring becomes so automatic that many people no longer recognize they're doing it. It becomes background noise, a constant low-grade vigilance operating beneath daily life. And eventually, the nervous system stops distinguishing between actual danger and imagined danger. The body reacts to thought as though it were reality. And this is why so many people feel tired even when they haven't technically done anything. Because the system has been running survival calculations all day long. Emotional survival systems. Over time, people build emotional survival systems, not consciously, but adaptively. Some people become perfectionists because perfection once felt safer than criticism. Some become hyper-independent because dependence once led to disappointment. Some over-explain themselves because misunderstanding once created pain. Some people become emotionally guarded because vulnerability once felt dangerous. These systems are not signs of weakness. They are signs of adaptation. The problem is not that the system formed. The problem is that eventually the survival system becomes mistaken for identity. I am anxious. I am broken. I am difficult. I am too emotional. No, these are often protective patterns that became normalized through repetition. And healing begins the moment we stop confusing the protective pattern with the self. Awareness versus hypervigilance. One of the greatest confusions in modern life is the difference between awareness and hypervigilance. Awareness is conscious presence. Hypervigilance is fear-based monitoring. Awareness observes. Hypervigilance scans. Awareness creates clarity. Hypervigilance creates exhaustion. Many people think their overthinking is responsibility. They think anxiety is preparation. They think constant worrying means they are cared deeply. But often it simply means the nervous system no longer feels safe enough to rest. And this is why true grounding can initially feel uncomfortable, because stillness removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, the underlying survival energy becomes easier to feel. Why rest feels unsafe. This is something rarely discussed deeply enough. For many people, rest feels unsafe, not intellectually, nervously. When the system has been conditioned into constant motion, slowing down can actually trigger discomfort. Silence can feel threatening. Stillness can feel vulnerable. Rest can feel undeserved. And many people unconsciously keep themselves mentally occupied because movement creates the illusion of control. But eventually we must ask, what if peace feels unfamiliar simply because survival has been familiar for too long? That question changes everything. The addiction to solving imaginary futures. The mind constantly tries to solve for X. It searches for certainty, for guarantees, for complete emotional protection. But life does not operate through complete guarantees. Life moves through uncertainty, and many people become trapped trying to solve features that do not yet exist. This creates chronic overwhelm, because the mind is attempting to carry timelines that are imaginary. And the deeper irony is this: most of the feared futures never happen. But the nervous system still experiences the emotional weight of rehearsing them over and over and over again. The beginning of internal safety. Healing does not begin when life becomes perfect. Healing begins when the body slowly learns, I am safe enough to be here now. That is why grounding matters, not as a buzzword, but as communication with the nervous system. Feeling your breath, feeling your feet, feeling the present moment, feeling the chair beneath you, feeling the water against your skin, feeling the air entering your lungs. These are not small things. These are signals of safety, and the more the nervous system experiences genuine present moment safety, the less it must constantly manufacture future-based fear. From mental control to internal trust. Eventually, the journey becomes less about controlling every thought and more about rebuilding trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to respond to life. Trust that emotion can move through you without becoming you. Trust that uncertainty does not automatically equal danger. This is not passive. This is profound nervous system work. And slowly, we begin shifting from emotional survival into emotional sovereignty. Not controlling emotion, not suppressing emotion, not pretending emotion does not exist, but remaining conscious while emotion moves through us. This is a completely different way of living. If today's episode resonated with you, please understand this: your mind is not your enemy. Your nervous system is not failing. Your emotional reactions do not make you broken. Many of these patterns were built in the name of protection, but protection is not the same thing as peace. And perhaps the next stage of your journey is not becoming emotionally perfect, but becoming emotionally conscious. Learning how to observe without immediately identifying. Learning how to feel without immediately spiraling. Learning how to stay present without needing complete certainty. That is where emotional sovereignty begins. And that is where life slowly starts opening again. To continue exploring these teachings and the deeper vibe shift journey, please visit the Vibe Shift blog, and I'll meet you there.